He's a Heisman winner, a two-time national champion, and now the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos.
It really was just the grace of God that pulled me through.
Meet NFL star Tim Tebow on today's 700 Club.
Can a sitting president with an approval rating in 42-44 be reelected for a second term? We'll see what Frank Luntz has to say later on in the program. You might find it interesting. But right now, President and congressional Democrats are pushing for higher taxes on upper-income Americans. They say the wealthy need to, quote, pay their fair share.
Well, Democrats say they need that money to pay for new programs to help Americans. But as Paul Strand reports, critics say the wealthy already pay the vast majority of taxes.
A constant refrain from President Obama and the Democrats lately is that the wealthy need to pay their fair share of taxes, and they don't.
This job bill is fully paid for by asking millionaires and billionaires to pay their fair share.
Republicans will be hard-pressed to explain why they'd allow teachers and firefighters to be laid off rather than have millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share.
But no matter how often they claim that, Pete Sepp of the National Taxpayers Union says the facts show the opposite is true.
The top 1% of earners in America pay almost 40% of all federal income taxes, yet they account for about a 20% slice of the earnings. That means they're pulling about twice their share of the tax load relative to what they earn.
The actual number, the top 1% earn 20% of the money, but pay 38.2% of the taxes. Make it the top 10%, and they pay some 3/4 of all the federal income taxes paid. Compare that to the bottom 50%.
The bottom half of income earners in America account for about 13% of the earnings, but less than 3% of the federal income taxes.
Sepp's conclusion?
The statistics show that the federal tax system is already sharply skewed toward the wealthy paying more.
Top Democratic leaders want to increase that tax level, though. Senate Leader Harry Reid's pushing a 5.6% surtax on millionaires. But that would come on top of tax rates soaring back up to what they were before the Bush-era tax cuts. And there will be sharply reduced deductions for things like charities and surtaxes to pay for Obamacare.
Put all those together, and you have top tax rates of over 50%.
Colin Hanna of Let Freedom Ring says history shows the rich won't put up with it.
They are very mobile. And if you were to substantially increase the tax burden on the rich, guess what? They would either change their behavior or they would up and leave.
Over time, they will be discouraged from continuing to create that wealth.
And that would be completely counterproductive.
If somehow Democratic plans to soak the rich do become law, critics say it's likely to send the already high jobless rate even higher.
If they have less money to create jobs, what's going to happen? Fewer jobs.
True, polling shows to reduce the deficit, 68% of Americans would raise taxes on the well-to-do. But the Heritage Foundation's Matthew Spalding says, all in all, Americans are pro-prosperity and not anti-wealth.
I think it's important to understand the extent to which class warfare goes against the whole grain of how Americans think about these things. The American dream is about achievement. Class warfare is attacking achievement.
I think there's a lot of demagoguery going on here and not a lot of good economic thinking.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, I am concerned about a president who sets one class of people against another and goes repeatedly attacking those in this society who are creating wealth. Sure, they've made an awful lot for themselves, and certainly Wall Street did some horrible things during that financial meltdown. There's no question about it. There was greed involved, and there was sloppiness and chicanery and breaking the law and all the rest of it. But still in all, we cannot have a president who sets one part of the economy against another, one class of citizens against another. He's supposed to be the president of everybody. And I don't know where these guys are coming from. They ought to know better. They know if they confiscated all the money from all the millionaires and all the billionaires, they still wouldn't pay for the cost of the federal government more than about 5 or 6 months. And they know that. The money has got to come out of the place where the money is, the middle class. And if they continue these programs, that's who's going to have to pay. But they don't want to tell you that. But this constant harping, and so now you've got these idealistic, sort of radical kids wandering around on Wall Street attacking free enterprise. Socialism doesn't work. It hasn't worked in Europe. It's never worked anyplace else where it's been tried. It certainly didn't work in Russia. And yet the Obama administration wants to bring socialism back into this country. And they're coming in through the back door. But we've got to be on our guard against this. And this next election is crucial, but just these next few months are crucial because the rhetoric is so vituperative. It is so corrosive, what's being done. We need a president to lift the country up, to give us hope and to say we're going to overcome the challenges together, not you're going to take away from him. And you know, when you get right down to it, about half of the people in America don't pay any income taxes at all. So sure, they can vote. Let's soak the rich, of course. I mean, let's get it from somebody besides us, because we're not paying any anyhow. Whew. It's not a good situation. Speak out against it. Lee Webb has the rest of our top stories from the CBN Newsroom. Lee?
Pat, President Obama is taking a swing through two key states this week, Virginia and North Carolina. He's keeping up pressure on Congress to pass parts of his jobs plan. The president's original bill, of course, failed in the Senate. Now it's likely to be broken up into smaller pieces. The president is combining his campaign for the jobs bill and his re-election bid. Pollster and political consultant Frank Luntz has been watching the race for the White House closely. Mark Martin talked with Luntz to get his take on the political landscape.
Stop with these ridiculous, negative, humorous, ironic ads. And
you've probably seen pollster Frank Luntz on Fox News, tapping into the emotion of Americans, trying to figure out what motivates them.
My polling involves intensity and passion and understanding what moves people to come to the points of view that they have.
With his unique style of polling, Luntz has written, conducted, and supervised thousands of surveys, focus groups, and other tests. So what are Americans saying to him these days?
We are the most pessimistic that we have been in modern times. We're the most afraid of the future, anxious and angry. And I feel it's important to present to audiences how Americans really think. So if they want to make a change, if they want to instill a sense of hope or confidence, they know where we stand. So what I'd like to do is walk through what's going on in the country.
At Regent University's Executive Leadership Series, Luntz spoke about what he perceives as the current state of America.
You know, it's interesting how we talk about the economy, and yet underneath that is the breakup of the family, the loss of morality in society.
So who can help America climb out of the mess?
Wherever I go, I get one question: is Herman Cain for real? And my answer is yes, I think so. But if he has the substance behind 999 and the other proposals he's put out, then he'll give Mitt Romney a good run for his money.
Whoever ends up being the Republican candidate, can they beat President Obama?
I've never seen a presidential candidate with Obama's current numbers who has succeeded in winning for president. But 2012 isn't a traditional election year. The level of anger and divisiveness and dissonance is so great on the left and on the right. The Tea Party, the Wall Street protests, we're all agitated and we're all yelling about it.
Mark Martin, CBN News.
Pat, you were there the other day when Frank Luntz addressed that crowd. What did you think?
Well, excellent presentation. And I might say this executive leadership luncheon that's once a month has become one of the best in the country. It is now just selling to capacity audiences every single time they have it. And Frank was no exception. The speakers have been just superb. And well, what he had to say, though, about this election, he said in his opinion, he's never seen anybody with the numbers as low as Obama be reelected. And he says he's never seen this country so pessimistic. Well, why are we pessimistic? We need a message of hope. That's what Ronald Reagan did. It's morning in America. You know, he got this country up, and we responded. We cut taxes. We didn't raise taxes. We cut taxes. We took burdens away from business. Then we said, okay, the shackles are off, take off. And we had an unbroken series of dramatic increases in our standard of living and in the gross domestic product. Right now, of course, the disparity between the very rich and the very poor is growing. There is no question about it. And whether the government could address that, I don't know. But it's you're not going to lift up the poor by bringing down the wealthy. That is not the way to do it. You need to lift everybody up, not push one segment of the population down and think, well, that's going to get fairness and equality. It doesn't work. Lee?
Pat, a decision is expected within 20 days in the case of Iranian pastor Youssef Nadarkhani. The pastor is on trial for his conversion to Christianity and his refusal to turn his back on his faith. The case has gone to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. He can delay providing an opinion as long as he wants, but the pastor's lawyer believes the decision will come in 3 weeks. Some media outlets had reported that a retrial had been ordered, but that is not true. 89 members of Congress from both parties have sent a letter to Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. They want the United Nations to get involved and pressure Iran to free the pastor. The American Center for Law and Justice is also working to save his life. Pat?
Well, Lee, it's what I've said before, I say again. This is a terrible black eye to the entire Muslim world, and I'm surprised that they don't see it. This man has done nothing except announce that he is a believer in Jesus Christ, and he has refused, under fear of death, to renounce Jesus. That's what they said, you've got to renounce your faith. Well, that doesn't sound like a religion of peace to me, and it's one of those things that is going to be highly publicized around the world, and it's going to hurt the Muslim cause tremendously, because this is very public. It wasn't public before, but we got hold of it. The American Center for Law and Justice brought it to our attention here at CBN News, and we've publicized it. Now Congress is involved. The State Department is still so timid, they won't seem to do anything to offend the mullahs in Iran. They're just scared to touch them, but nevertheless, they're. So we'll keep on praying for this very brave pastor, that somehow they'll say, well, we should never have tried him in the first place, and we let him have freedom. We believe in freedom. Let's hope they say that. I doubt if they will, but you never know. Lee?
More cuts in government spending lead to more protests in Greece. Unions around the country staged strikes and sit-ins today. This comes as Greece faces a decisive week in the country's debt crisis. A key vote on new austerity measures is set for Thursday. Those measures include pay and pension cuts, as well as layoffs for some in public service. Meanwhile, the Greek prime minister is asking his people to be patient. He says his government is working to prevent a financial catastrophe. Greece's financial problems are a major part of the European debt crisis. You know, going to this Occupy Wall Street protest going on in this country, Pat, you have to wonder, is it going to turn violent? I don't expect it to because of the winter months ahead, but you know, as you look ahead to next year, an election year, and the summer, your thoughts go back to 1968, which was a cauldron in this country.
Well, the match to the kindling is being provided by our noble president, and he is exciting people to revolt. But what I believe the Lord told me at the beginning of this year was that there was not the will in America to restrain our spending, that we didn't have the will to cut back as we should, to balance our budgets and to bring our fiscal house in order. But it's much worse in Greece. And these people are so used to socialism, so used to handouts from the government, that they don't want to give them up. They don't seem to think that the government doesn't have money unlimited. Only God has unlimited supplies of money, and the Greek government doesn't have it. So what's going to happen is going to be a massive default. If they keep this up, it can get worse. I think the most important thing for the European Union to do is not to bail out Greece anymore, but to go through what amounts to a bankruptcy and say, you know, you're going to default. We'll let you default on your obligations, and we will guarantee a fund which will pay back 50% or 40% or 25% to the bondholders, whatever the number they work out, and say that's it. And Greece, if you don't get your act together, you can starve. And I think that's what's going to happen. The European Union can't continue to bail out these sick economies. So sooner or later, they're going to have to tell Greece, get your act together. And whether the people will buy it or not, it looks like a revolution. It could be a war. And that contagion could spread. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. A tiny little country could bring us all down. Terry?
Well, speaking of getting our acts together, up next, he lives on a teacher's salary, but don't call him one of the 99%. Danny Kofke shares a page from his Book of Financial Wisdom to show us how to make the most out of our money. Plus, our chat room is open. We want to hear from you. All you have to do is log on to CBN.com, send us your questions, and we're going to be bringing it online with them later on today's 700 Club.
Still to come, he's a leader on the field and off.
I had that opportunity to go into hospitals and talk to kids and see a kid and make him smile. Why? Because I'm a special person? No. It has everything to do with me being a quarterback at the University of Florida. And to not take advantage of that is a shame.
We sit down with Tim Tebow later on today's 700 Club.
Life can be tough. There are challenges for all of us. Jesus told us to pray for one another, and that's exactly what we want to do. On 700 Club Interactive, we use technology to bring Christians together to pray for each other. Meet others just like you and talk or share with them in real time. Watch God work miracles in people's lives. Be part of 700 Club Interactive. Weekdays at 9:30 on ABC Family.
Hi there, neighbor. Pat Boone here from my good friends at Swiss America, the company that makes retirement dreams come true with gold. A lot of folks are shifting a portion of their retirement funds into a new precious metals IRA with Swiss America. And since 2004, these IRAs are up in value over 150%. I've been a very satisfied client of Swiss America for many years now because they believe in honesty, fair prices, and superior service. It's time to put your financial future on a gold standard right now. I own gold because it's a hedge of protection for my family. Even my grandkids can see that our paper money is becoming less valuable every day. So call or visit Swiss America now. Ask for the Pat Boone free DVD and gold IRA kit. Get the best education you can on gold, the best asset to own during these uncertain times. Call or visit online now.
Tomorrow, she needed the cash.
And the ad said, earn a sum of up to $1,500 a day, female-owned and operated, fun, friendly, safe work environment.
And took the first job she could find.
I thought, wow, that seems almost too good to be true.
How this mom became a madam.
And I just couldn't stop scrubbing my body enough. I just felt so dirty.
Tomorrow on the 700 Club.
Well, the down economy has Americans up in arms and politicians at each other's throats. But what's the answer? Author and teacher Danny Kofke says the solution starts at home.
Banks got bailed out. We got sold out. We are the 99%.
Throughout the country, angry mobs vent their anger with the economy and with Wall Street.
And then this is not only happening to me, but to a lot of people. So do something to make America live again.
Hundreds swarm major cities like the Big Apple to protest.
We're getting budget cuts, we're getting job cuts, and the very wealthy are getting tax cuts. That's not fair.
But are Wall Street and what many Americans call corporate greed entirely to blame?
The number one thing that has gotten people in trouble nowadays is they don't know where their money is going.
Author Danny Kofke argues it's up to every American to look out for his or her own financial future, especially when the government can't. He and his family live comfortably on a modest $40,000 teacher's salary, not even close to the $250,000 that some in Washington define as rich. In his book, A Simple Book of Financial Wisdom, Kofke explains how a family of four can live on a single salary, save over $5,000 a year, establish an emergency fund, and set aside money for college and retirement. The father of two delivers a plan that he believes can solve the economic crisis one household at a time.
Sounds too good to be true, but he says it really is true. Danny Coffey's joining us now, and welcome him back to the 700 Club. Danny, good to see you.
Hey, seeing you. Thanks so much for having me back on.
I was so amazed the last time to read about the fact you and your wife had vacations in Europe, and you went hither and yon, you bought nice things, and yet you had a limited income, about $20,000, whatever it was, and you saved all kinds of money. What's the secret?
I think for most people, you just have to know where your money is going. There's two ways to make more money. Either A, get a higher paying job, which let's face it, it's a little more difficult than it was 5 years ago for most. Or B, you have to cut back on what you are spending money on. And most of us have areas in our lives that we overspend in. So tracking your spending, seeing where that money is going, then you're able to cut back in certain areas and put more money back into your pocket.
Give me the top 3 overspending areas where we could cut back.
Definitely eating out. A lot of people eat out meals. Personally, I brown bag lunch to school most days, eat my lunch. Don't have a lot of time anyways as a teacher, but that's a big area. Cell phones, that amazes me when we think about how much money I see people all the time walking around with the smartphones. And I didn't realize I just got a phone in August that I could text. Sent my first text message ever in August, and we have a cheap one, and it's still $30 a month. So some people are constantly connected to the internet. I mean, those plans can be $80, $90 a month. So that's another big area.
That's $1,000 a year, and eating out, you could go $500 a month easy or more.
Easy. Well, let's just say Monday through Friday you eat out lunch, and we're going to keep it cheap. Fast food, we'll say $5 a pop. Most of us won't think twice about spending $5 or even miss it, but add that up. $5 a day is $25 a week, $100 a month, or $100 a month, $1,300 a year. $1,300 a year is a lot of money for most people.
And that's after-tax money, too.
Yes.
All right, well, what else can they save money on?
Well, I think we think about cable TV and satellite. We're fortunate. We still have satellite, and it's something that we pay a decent amount for. But if push came to shove, that would be one of the things we would get rid of, because think about, on a satellite, I probably have 400 stations I can watch. I watch maybe 20 of them. So is it really a need? No, for most people it's
not. You
not.
can get it free over the air. It's free.
That's right. That's right. So that's another thing. The home phone plan, now that a lot of people are using cell phones, some people can take away that home phone plan because they don't need it anymore.
Yeah. And in your life, you've accomplished, your salary for between the two of you was $40,000. Now, your wife was able to stop work and look after the kids.
Yeah, she was. She stayed at home for 7 years. She actually just went back in September to teach preschool. My 4-year-old, she actually is her teacher. And not making a lot of money, so it definitely doesn't add a lot to our income, but it's something that it's best of both worlds. She gets to be our teacher, and also we make a little extra money.
People made fun of you, didn't they, when you were doing this? Tell us about it.
Yeah, they did. When we were weird years ago, we had a plan to make it on a teacher's salary. We obviously couldn't have a large mortgage, a lot of debt. So while Tracy was a first grade teacher and I was a teacher, we made a lot more money than we do right now, but we still lived very frugally. People would say, get off your wallet, do this, do that. But we knew we had a goal in mind. And I always think if people that don't do well managing their money, if they're laughing at you and telling you to change, then you must be doing something right.
All right. Well, what's the hardest rule that you follow in this?
Well, probably being mocked and not being able to buy everything I want. I'm like anyone. If I see someone driving a convertible BMW, of course I want it. So that probably is the biggest thing. But the good thing is with us, I tell myself I can have it, but something has to give. Either A, I'll have to get a higher paying job. B, I'd have to get a second job and see less of my family. Or C, Tracy would have to go back and get a higher paying job. And so far in the last 7 years, not one materialistic thing has made us want to change the way we're living.
Well, you can save an awful lot in cars. The automobile, I mean, what are you recommending? A 2 or 3 year old car?
Definitely. The depreciation factor is so huge, right, when you drive a brand new car off the lot. So yes, you can get a reliable used car, 2, 3 years old, and save a lot of money doing it that way.
Now, you've got a little girl, and you're teaching that little girl the principles when she is, 3 years old?
Yes, we started when she was 3 with basic chores, savings, spending, and giveaway jars. So she would get paid at the end of the week, and money would go into each of those jars. And then as she got older, once she turned 6...
You got a saving jar, a spending jar, and a giveaway jar.
Correct. And she would get paid like $1 a week, so she would first know to put money in the giveaway jar, 10% in the giveaway jar, 25% in the savings jar, and the rest would go in the spending jar. Just that lesson alone right there. Most of us followed that in our lives, even as we got older, earned more money. You gave away 10% first, you saved 25%, then you spent the rest. I don't think our country would be in the mess that we're in right now.
What happens to the little girl? I mean, did she learned those lessons?
She did. Now, and she shows me some things by now that she spends her own money, because now she's 7. So when we go to the store, of course, she sees things that she wants. We never have an argument. We'll go home and check your jars. If you have enough in your savings or spending jar, you can buy that. And she saves up to buy her own things. And it just shows she doesn't spend money frivolously because she knows she has worked for it. And actually, when she turned 6, we upped it a little bit. And now to earn her money, she has to take out the garbage, and she also has to clean her bathroom, which includes scrubbing the toilet.
She's a 6-year-old. She's taking out the garbage?
Yes, but I wanted to teach her at this point, now that she knew how to manage money, if you work harder than most, because most 6-year-olds probably aren't scrubbing their toilets, if you go above and beyond, you'll get rewarded, because I gave her a little raise too in her allowance and she gets paid more. But I wanted to teach her that if you go above and beyond what others are doing, you'll be rewarded.
She'll be a millionaire by the time she's 21. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, how's your book been catching hold? Are you having a lot of people who say, Danny's got the answers?
Yes, I do. Unfortunately, a lot of people, I've had some comments saying, try living off 40 grand a year in New York City. And there's some people that down it. But the thing is, you have to do what's right for your family. I chose not to live in New York City because I knew the cost of living was high. So we make it work for us. And I think when it comes to our finances, you have to do what's right for you and your family. This is what's right for my family, for Tracy to be able to stay at home, raise our girls, live on a teacher's salary. That works for us. For some people, it's more important to drive a fancy car, have a bigger house. Have at it. If it's better for your family, then go for it. But you just have to stay true to yourself.
How much have you saved over the years?
Over the years, we have a 1-year emergency fund in place, but we also invest each month for our retirement. So right now, we're on track to retire as millionaires once we hit 65 because of compound interest, the magic of that. Dollar cost average every single month. We invest a set amount in mutual funds. And then over time, 30 years from now, we should be millionaires if it holds true.
You're one of those terrible millionaires that Schumer wants to get. Huh?
That's true, I guess. I know that might be a whole nother discussion.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Financial Wisdom, a simple book. And Danny Kofke, this is good stuff. I mean, the man's amazing. He's simply amazing of what he's done, how he's done it, and how he's built up money. He's bought some real estate. He's just had all kinds of wonderful things happen. And Danny, you're an example to us all. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me back on. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more, go to cbn.com. Terry?
Coming up, NFL quarterback Tim Tebow on playing the toughest position in sports.
You're in the huddle. All of those 10 guys are looking at you, and it's your responsibility. And if you fail, it's on you, not on anyone else. And I just kind of love that pressure about it.
Find out how he handles that pressure later on today's show.
If you're the mother of a child with behavior problems, I'd like to talk to you. My name is Janet Lehman, and I'm a behavioral therapist and a mom. I know what it's like when the child that you love becomes a defiant, out-of-control child who disrespects you. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the program that tens of thousands of moms are now using to turn around their child's behavior. If you've heard about the Total Transformation and wondered if it will work for you, now you can try it for free. I'm willing to give away 1,000 programs today for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. We'll let you keep it for free. I know the Total Transformation works because I used these techniques with my own son and with troubled kids for over 30 years. Let me prove to you that it works by giving you the program free.
Call the number on your screen now to get the Total Transformation free.
Watch your mail for the Publishers Clearinghouse Sweepstakes or go to PCH.com and enter. November 30th, you could win $1 million plus $5,000 a week for life.
To see this week's most viewed stories, go to cbn.com.
Welcome back. You watch pro football. My son's father-in-law is a dyed-in-the-wool Denver Bronco fan, but there was no joy in Mile High City when the Broncos only won 1 and lost 4 during this campaign so far. So the Broncos needed a change. So for next week's game, they'll hand the ball off to cannon-armed quarterback Tim Tebow. And while Tim has started only a few games in his young NFL career, he's one of the biggest stars in the sport. Recently, he sat down with Sean Brown to talk about football and, more important, his personal faith.
Denver Broncos quarterback Tim Tebow made his mark in college football as a University of Florida Gator with his strong arm and gritty play. He also turned heads by his unwavering and bold Christian faith. The son of Christian missionaries, he's become one of the most influential athletes in college and professional sports. Tim's journey began with a life-threatening decision his mom made before he was born.
Your mother's pregnant with you.
Yes.
There are some complications. Can you tell me a little bit about those complications?
I have a very courageous mother who, in front of a lot of doctors telling her that she needs to have an abortion with me, for saying that it's not wise to keep this baby/tumor, is what they thought I was. And come to find out after I was born that they found out that it was just a tiny bit of the placenta was attached for the whole pregnancy. So it really was just the grace of God that pulled me through.
But your mom, she had a choice to make.
But at the end of the day, it wasn't a choice for her. It wasn't a choice. She was never going to choose to not give me a chance. She was always determined, no matter what the outcome was, that she was going to give me a chance, because it was already predetermined in her mind. The grace and the amazingness of God and how He can do anything, and she was going to trust Him with it.
He was born Timothy Richard Tebow, and when he was 3, his parents moved the family to Duval County in Florida. And while his dad continued in ministry, his mom homeschooled Tim and his 4 siblings. And he says growing up in a full house was fun, but also challenging.
Talk about the homeschooling experience and what it meant to you and your family.
Well, homeschooling was wonderful for us, and Mom was amazing, keeping all the kids, especially when you had 5 kids in the house at one time. She did just an amazing job with that and keeping everybody focused and doing their schoolwork. And sometimes there were things that were more important than learning math or writing another essay, and that was learning character, learning strength, learning honor, learning to do the right thing, learning to treat others the way you want to be treated, and implementing those character qualities first and foremost before school even started. And that was something that was huge for us. It was huge to read the Proverbs of the day every morning. It was huge to read Psalm of the day every morning and get that in us to get our day going before anything else started.
Tim accepted Christ when he was 7 years old.
You know, I had been going to church and talking to my mom and dad, and I wanted to trust Christ with my life. I was thinking, you know, if I get in a car the next day and we get in a crash and I die, I don't think I'm going to go to heaven. And I was scared, and so the next morning I woke up and I grabbed my mom because my dad would ask me too many questions and everything. So I grabbed my mom and I went to the couch and I said, Mom, I want to ask Jesus to come into my heart. And I got on my knee and I asked Jesus to come into my heart and forgive me of my sins and make me a child of God. And from that instant, I know that I went from darkness to light and my eternity was sealed. And I knew that instantly, even as a little boy, and that changed my life. And it was the best decision that I've ever made.
As Tim grew up, he says he became extremely competitive. He played baseball, basketball, and football. But it was something about playing football that he says he couldn't get anywhere else.
I knew I loved football before I even played it. But the first time I stepped on the field playing for the Lakeshore Redskins, I knew that I loved this game. I knew that this was something that I wanted to do. And I was only 6 years old, but I loved it. I knew this is something that I want to do. And I love this more than anything else. And it wasn't because it was easy or it was fun or it came easy to me, but it was just something about the position, about when you're in the huddle, all of those 10 guys are looking at you. And when you go to the line of scrimmage, everybody's depending on you, and it's your responsibility. And if you fail, it's on you, not on anyone else. And I just kind of love that pressure about it.
Tim's desire to be the hero is what eventually led him to the University of Florida. And he says that's where football became his mission field.
What's so amazing is in today's society, people look up to football players. And as a football player, you have a platform. And so much more important than any touchdown or trophy or anything you could win with football is taking that platform to be able to influence people. My dad told me at an early age, he said, you know, Brett Favre can go into any school and share any message he wants around the country, around the world. He said, when you're in that position, you can go and you can share your message anywhere. And that was something that really hit me and something he shared with me a lot.
Do you hear your father's voice saying, son, that's going to be you one day going into the high schools and the places speaking? Do you hear your dad's voice?
Yes, without a doubt, absolutely. And it's something we would still talk about is he would always share with me about the platform I have to make a difference. And I had that opportunity to go into hospitals and talk to kids and see a kid and make him smile. Why? Because I'm a special person? No, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with me being a quarterback at the University of Florida. And to not take advantage of that is a shame.
From 2006 to 2009, Tim had a stellar college football career. Within those 4 seasons, he helped lead the Gators to 2 SEC championships and 2 BCS championships. Then in 2010, he entered the NFL draft and was selected 25th overall by the Denver Broncos.
Tim is now in his sophomore season and was recently named the starting quarterback. When he's not on the field, you'll probably find him in the gym or working for his charity, the Tim Tebow Foundation. He's also written a book entitled Through My Eyes, and he says that while fans may see him as the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, he hopes they'll also see a reflection of God's love.
I hope that they say, this is a guy who, number one, loves the Lord, but he also loves people, and he wants to make a difference in people's life. And he wants to help everyone he comes in contact with. And he is genuine, he is real, and he cares about people. And it's not all about scoring touchdowns or being famous or anything like that, but it's about relationships, it's about making a difference in people's lives, and at the end of the day, it's about glorifying God.
What an amazing athlete. What an amazing quarterback. He's big, 6'4", 250 pounds or something.
Isn't it refreshing to see an athlete who understands the value of the position, assumes the responsibility, and goes for it?
He's terrific. And I mean, he's just astounding. I'm glad the Broncos finally woke up and put him in where he should have been. They've been holding him back, but
He's an amazing young man. Well, for more Tim Tebow, check out his book. It is called Through My Eyes. This is available in stores nationwide. We also have an extended interview with him on our website. You can catch even more of what he has to say by going to cbn.com. Well, still ahead, this cardiologist tried diet and exercise, but he still couldn't shed the pounds until he cut just one thing out of his meals. We're going to tell you what that was when we return.
Falls are the #1 cause of injury to senior citizens. Acorn Stairlifts has a solution. Just don't fall. Sit, relax, ride with an Acorn Stairlift, the world's leader in stairlifts. Don't let limited mobility keep you from going up and down your stairs, even outside. Call Acorn Stairlifts now for a free information kit and no obligation quote. Why risk falling when you could safely ride?
Our Acorn Stairlift is definitely more affordable than moving.
The Acorn Stairlift has a padded seat and backrest, safety sensors, stop the chair if there are obstacles. The seat swivels and locks so you don't twist your body. And the Acorn Stairlift folds away. It even works through a power shortage.
I was really surprised at how little they cost.
Call 1-800-505-3513 for free information. That number again is 1-800-505-3513. 1-800-505-3513. Call now.
Welcome back to the 700 Club. Thousands of people gathered in Washington, D.C. Sunday to dedicate the new Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. The 4-hour event featured tributes from members of King's family, a variety of clergy, gospel singers, and more. Congress approved the move to honor Dr. King in 1996. The memorial stands on the National Mall between the Lincoln and Jefferson memorials. Organizers say they relied on God to see the project completed, and President Obama used Dr. King's legacy to encourage a nation plagued by economic uncertainty. Much of Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam are underwater after continuous monsoon rains. This past week, floodwaters reached central Thailand, including the capital city of Bangkok. CBN Thailand teams are on the ground in some of the hardest hit areas. Staff are working with military officers and area churches to coordinate relief efforts. More than 2,000 relief bags are being distributed. They're full of canned food, noodles, milk, water, candles, soap, toothbrushes, and other essentials. And you can find out more about what CBN is doing around the world by logging on to cbn.com/international. Pat and Terry will be back after this.
Do you have wrinkles and sagging skin? Would you like to remove years of aging from your face in about an hour? Now you can with Lifestyle Lift. This amazing procedure takes about 1 hour right in our office. See the difference immediately. No general or IV anesthesia. Return to your activities quickly. Call today to learn how you can receive a free laser treatment. That's right, a $950 value, free for a limited time only.
It gave me back all of my confidence.
Call Lifestyle Lift now for your free laser treatment.
Something inside of me just told me I need to get checked out. The doctor said we found something and we need to get into surgery.
Beth Gomez had stage 3 colon cancer.
That's when we scheduled an appointment for a second opinion at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
To find out more about treatment options for complex and late-stage cancer, go to cancercenter.com. You'll be able to see our treatment results for many types of cancers and how they compare to national averages. You can also check for participating insurance plans. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, every resource, every one of us, everything we do every day is focused on you, our patient, your treatment, your healing, your survival.
You had a whole team. I wasn't just going to fight this battle. They were going to stand beside me and fight it.
Our physicians, clinicians, and nurses are highly experienced and dedicated. We use state-of-the-art technology and give you treatment options you may not even know exist.
Cancer makes you really appreciate what's important in your life.
Please call or go to cancercenter.com today. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Tomorrow, she needed the cash.
And the ad said, earn a sum of up to $1,500 a day, female-owned and operated, fun, friendly, safe work environment.
And took the first job she could find.
I thought, wow, that seems almost too good to be true.
How this mom became a madam.
And I just couldn't stop scrubbing my body enough. I just felt so dirty.
Tomorrow on the 700 Club.
As a cardiologist, Dr. William Davis spends his days telling his patients how to live healthy. But he had problems heeding his own advice. Dr. Davis was packing on the pounds until he made one big change to his diet. Take a look.
The latest health advice tells us to eat more whole grains. But eating 2 slices of whole wheat bread, even the so-called healthy whole grain wheat, can be worse than drinking soda or eating a candy bar. Cardiologist and New York Times best-selling author William Davis found that today's genetically modified wheat can actually harm the body. He says eliminating wheat from your diet can help you lose weight and improve overall health.
Dr. William Davis is the author of the book, The Wheat Belly Diet, and he's with us now. Dr. Davis, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Good to be here.
You struggled a little bit with weight yourself, and it seemed like nothing you did worked. Tell me what you were going through at that time.
That's right, Terry. It was a time several years ago. I cut the fat in my diet, and I made the mistake of increasing the content of healthy whole grains. I was jogging 5 miles a day, and I gained 30 pounds.
Good grief. That's discouraging.
And became diabetic, by the way.
Wow. So how did you figure out that cutting out wheat was what you needed to do?
It didn't happen overnight, but several years later, I had puzzled over this for a long time. I wanted to help my patients in my heart disease prevention practice reduce blood sugars. 80% of the people coming through my office, Terry, had diabetes or pre-diabetes when I met them. And so I used very, very simple logic. If 2 slices of whole wheat bread raise your blood sugar higher than most candy bars and table sugar, let's see what happens. We do that. 3 months later, they'd come back. their blood sugar would be lower, but they'd tell me all these other stories I did not fully expect. I lost 30 pounds.
Wow.
My leg edema has gone. My migraine headaches that I've had every day for 20 years is now gone. My rash I've had for 8 years, 3 biopsies, no diagnosis, is now gone. My acid reflux is gone. My irritable bowel syndrome, cramps and diarrhea,
Good
all
grief.
gone. At first, I told people it must be an odd coincidence. There's no way rheumatoid arthritis gets better with removal of wheat. But it became so consistent, so frequent, that it became clear this was a real association.
This is a very intimidating thought to people, but you say if people could just remove 2 things from their diet, it would make a difference. What are they?
Well, in my experience with trying to prevent heart disease, there are 2 things I found, this sounds odd, but 2 very, very important, powerful strategies. Remove wheat, number 1, in my view, for heart disease prevention, but number 2, vitamin D supplementation. Those 2 things, if all you and I did was persuade a nation to do those 2 things, I think we'd cut back numerous conditions by 80%.
So one's a sacrifice of a sense, and one's an addition. Vitamin D is such an important factor in people's lives. You have recommended that people get rid of wheat, and you say that the wheat today in our diet is very different than the kind of wheat that was grown years ago. How so?
That's right. That's a crucial point to make. The wheat of 1,000 years ago, wheat of the Bible, is very different from what we're being sold today. Now, this was not evil. This was the work to increase yield, to increase the number of people who had access to food worldwide. But the unintended change was incredible changes in this plant's genetics. If you look at modern wheat, for instance, it's a 2-foot-tall plant. It's not the 4.5-foot, 5-foot tall amber wave of grain we all think of. It's a 2-foot-tall, short, stocky plant created for increased yield. Now, those outward changes are accompanied by very substantial internal biochemical and genetic changes as well.
Let's talk a little bit about what you have here, because I think when people talk about going wheatless, they just kind of gulp and think, but it's in everything. And I was astonished to find that it really is in so many things. Can you talk about some of the things that you've got that are substitutes here and the alternatives that it offers us?
Sure. So if we go wheat-free, that cuts out a lot of foods, and we don't want gluten-free. That's confusing because gluten-free foods are made with cornstarch, rice starch, tapioca starch, and potato starch, which raise blood sugar, cause other problems. So what I've been doing is reimagining these foods without wheat, yes, but without those high sugar, high carbohydrate type foods.
So gluten-free isn't the thing you're looking for.
That's right.
Wheat-free.
Wheat-free, and let's replace it with healthy, real foods.
So what's in these bags?
This is an apricot scone. It's quite delicious. It's very simple. This is one of the most foolproof recipes I've come up with. It's not a lot of oil, so it's quite light. It's not very sweet, as a scone would not be sweet. So you might want to add a little, say, fruit butters like pumpkin butters or apple butters. I like those better than preserves or jams, not so much sugar. Yes.
And you've used coconut flour for this?
And you'll find that the basic ingredients to make these kinds of recipes is nut meals like ground almonds. You can buy them ground, you can grind them yourself. But if you want a fluffier, lighter texture, you can use coconut flour. A lot of these recipes, for instance, are about 1.5 cups of coconut flour, 1.5 cups of ground almonds, and then 2 tablespoons or so of coconut flour. It provides a light texture to it.
Okay. And what is this? Because dessert would be, I see some of these look like desserts, and that's a biggie.
That's one of my favorites. This is chocolate almond biscotti. This takes a little bit more work because biscotti is a twice-baked biscuit, of course. You bake the loaf, you have to take it out of the oven, slice it, bake it again, take it out, turn it over again, bake it again. But you get this more crispy texture. This is a chocolate lover's dream. It's got chocolate chips, use dark chocolate, of course, cocoa, and if you want to, you can melt your chocolate, sweeten it with something benign like stevia or Truvia, dip it in, and you've got chocolate. And by the way, you can have that. You don't gain a pound, your blood sugar doesn't go up, you can trigger no inflammatory phenomena, you can enjoy it and be healthy. I've had it for breakfast many times.
What's this?
This is
soy
chocolate
flour.
This is chocolate coconut bread. Now, some people don't like coconut. You can make just a coconut bread. So this is also ground almonds. I used a tablespoon or 2 of soy flour to make it a lighter, more bread-like texture.
And this is flaxseed meal.
Flaxseed is a small ingredient in the carrot muffins, or carrot cupcakes in this case. These are carrot cupcakes. They taste just like carrot cake. So they're wonderful. They have shredded carrots and orange zest and some flaxseed for fiber, and they're cupcakes good enough for breakfast.
I want to say that you alluded just a few minutes ago to some of the amazing results of taking the wrong kind of grain, the wrong kind of wheat out of your diet. If you'd like more information on Wheat Belly Diet, you need to check out Dr. Davis's book. This is available in stores nationwide, and some of the crises medically and maladies that people are facing are just so easily remedied by simply getting this out of your diet. It's quite amazing. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you.
Great work. Pat, over to you.
Man, don't you wish it would work? Let's hope it does. So anyhow, let's go for almond flour, coconut flour. Sounds pretty good. Well, still ahead, it's time to bring it on with questions from our live chat room. Marilyn says, my grandson is abused by his stepmother. I've talked with my son about this, but he refuses to believe me. What should I do? Well, we'll tackle that question and more later on today's 700 Club.
Watch your mail for the Publishers Clearinghouse Sweepstakes or go to PCH.com and enter. November 30th, you could win $1 million plus $5,000 a week for life.
Here at CBN, we see incredible things happen when we stand together.
That's why we want to thank the thousands of you who recently pledged to join the 700 Club.
Your monthly gift makes it possible to bring crucial help to people who need it most.
Each day, you have a part in healing the sick, feeding the hungry, and broadcasting the gospel across America and around the world.
You've brought hope and help to those in desperate need.
And changed their lives forever.
Just like you did for Yasana. He lived in a slum breaking rocks for $2 a day. That's when you sent him goats to raise, providing his family a better income. And you gave his grandchildren school supplies, changing the future for Yasana and his family.
So please watch for this mailing and send in your pledge.
This year, millions will experience the love and saving power of Jesus Christ.
Only because you were there. Well, we asked you to submit your questions online, and Pat, this first one is from Marcia, who says, my grandson is abused by his stepmother. He's only 8 years old, and she does things like lock him in a dark closet after telling him that monsters are in there. I want to get the authorities involved, but they won't do anything unless my grandson speaks out, which he won't do because he's afraid. I talked with my son, who's married to the stepmother, about this, and he refuses to believe me. He says his wife is a good mother. What advice do you have?
That is really a tough one. You say abuse, she's not sexually abusing him or apparently beating him, it's just it's emotional.
Emotional, psychological.
Well, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Lock a kid in a closet and say there are monsters in there, and at 8 years old, frighten him to death.
Who does that?
Well, she's apparently evil. I don't know if that rises to the level where the state would intervene. You can call protective services, but what do? They take the child away from home, and then he...
Well, and now it becomes your word against the word of the parents, which is pretty impossible.
Impossible,
you know,
impossible.
I
think the best thing to do is for you to love that child, spend as much time with him as you possibly can. Let him know that Jesus loves him. Let him know you love him, and let him know that he's going to be okay.
Give him a flashlight for the closet. Really, I mean, that's terrible.
Awful. It's really awful. That rises to the level of abuse. You could tell your son that if he doesn't take care of this, that you're going to call the authorities, and maybe the threat of that might get him, spur him to action.
Yeah.
You can always, I mean, the cops show up and say, I hear you got a little boy locked up in a closet. You know, what's the deal? I mean, that's child abuse.
Yeah.
All right.
This is Tricia, who says, my husband left me 3 months ago because he said he was attracted to other women. He hurt me so much. While I pray for his salvation, I don't pray for God to bring him back to me. Is it wrong that I don't want my marriage restored?
No, it's not wrong. The guy's something wrong with him, and he's broken the marriage vow. Adultery is a grounds for divorce. He has never really been bonded to you. He's got a wandering eye, and he's attracted to other women. I mean, he said vows when he was married to you. You know, I'm going to love you and I'm going to cherish you and all this. And he broke his vow. So it's not wrong that you don't want to get back together with him. And I think that there's a biblical reason to leave.
Well, and he's left. So, I mean, I think she's got.
So I think you ought to go forward and you know, sever that marriage and get on with life. I really believe so. I mean, is it wrong? It's God hates divorce, the Bible says. He hates divorce. He hates putting away. He hates this kind of thing because he knows what destructive behavior there is. But at the same time, you're better to do it before you start having children. The children get hurt by this conduct because your husband's going to keep on doing it. So you made a mistake.
She's praying for his salvation.
Yeah,
so
well,
she
you can
has
do
a right
that.
to her
Of course,
attitude.
pray for him and love him, but you know, treat him like an unbeliever. And what would you do with an unbeliever? You'd pray that he might find the Lord. All right.
This is Laura, who says, our daughter is in college right now, although she still lives with us. She told us yesterday that she wants to move out, but as her parents, we don't feel it's a good thing for her to do until she finishes her studies and she gets a car. I've prayed for wisdom, and I still don't feel good about it. What do I do?
If she's 18, she's emancipated, and under the law, she can move out. It sounds like she's making a terrible mistake. She's got a real good deal with you. And along with that independence will come lifestyle choices that will be very hurtful to her. The question is, if you want to keep her from doing it, say, look, we're not going to pay the bills. You can move out if you want to, but you got to raise your own money. And all of a sudden she says, whoa, I didn't understand.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine how somebody in today's world could move out without a car because...
Well, you can take the bus. There are buses and other public transportation, or you can walk, or you can get a bicycle.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Free bicycle.
That's true. I mean, I think also as a parent, you know, if she's dead set on that and you have a good relationship with her, you could participate in being sure that she goes into a healthy living relationship or you know, situation and help with the decision making in that.
Kids leave home, they stay in a dormitory, or they stay in an apartment complex that the school has, and so they do really leave home when they go to college.
Yeah.
So
actually,
maybe
there are some parents that would be very glad that their daughter had the desire to leave.
Yeah, we're free. All right.
Okay, this is Melissa, who says, our family is struggling financially. We can't pay our mortgage, and now it's getting to the point where our tithe to our church is taking away from paying our bills. I pray, but I don't get an answer. Why?
Well, I think the answer's in the Bible. You know, the Bible says, shall a man rob God? If you really want his blessing, be faithful with your tithe, and then you've got God as your financial partner, and you have every reason to ask him for his blessing. So that belongs to him. So you remember that little girl that had the little, you know, something for giving, something for saving. You need those buckets. I don't think you're managing your money properly. That's the thing. You need to get a budget. You need to say, what can I cut back of expenditures? You know, am I living in too big a house? Have I bought too much car? Have I got too many obligations that I can cut out and come back on? And I think you just need some financial help, but don't rob God at the same time. Well, thank you for your questions. That's all the time we have for today's show. Tomorrow, a mom's so desperate to keep her kids, she sold her body and was in danger of losing her soul. Plus the latest thriller from author Joel Rosenberg. You don't want to miss that. See you later.
Tomorrow, she needed the cash.
And the ad said, earn a sum of up to $1,500 a day, female-owned and operated, fun, friendly, safe work environment.
And took the first job she could find.
I thought, wow, that seems almost too good to be true.
How this mom became a madam.
And I just couldn't stop scrubbing my body enough. I just felt so dirty.
Tomorrow on the 700 Club.
While Mary feeds her 2 young daughters, she also helps feed needy families around the world. while Bob hands a drink out to a coworker. He helps give water to villages with new wells. And while Carl builds a house for his son's new puppy, he helps rebuild homes in disaster areas.
These people all have something in common. They're CBN partners who have joined Pledge Express. I hope you'll consider joining Pledge Express too. It's a way to simplify your own life while speeding help to others, all at the same time. There are no checks to remember or stamps to buy, and your gift goes to work faster, helping those who need it most. So join us and change the world for someone today.